Hi, guys. Welcome to Own Your Essence, the podcast where healing meets empowerment. I'm your host, April DeMille, a psychic medium and a life coach specializing in grief, trauma, and toxic relationship recovery. This is a space for deep conversations, powerful transformations, and raw healing. Each week, we'll dive into soul centered topics like psychic mediumship, the supernatural, metaphysical wisdom, emotional grief, addiction, mental health, spiritual wellness, and self discovery. Through inspiring interviews and personal insights, this podcast is here to spread awareness, spark connection, and support your healing journey. If you're ready to set boundaries, reclaim your confidence, and step into your true power, you're in the right place. Let's own your essence together. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Own Your Essence podcast, where we get to have deep transformational conversations with some of our favorite people. We are your host,
Lee Walzak.
and April DeMille. And as you can see, my bestie's here today. Lee came back to grace us with his presence because we love him. And I think I've said this before, guys, but there are going to be times that Lee gets to come around and hang out with us and guest co-host. So this happens to be one of those special occasions. So without further ado, Lee, I will let you introduce our new guest.
Cool, thanks. So today we have Olivia LaBarre on. I have done some sessions with Olivia myself. She's really awesome, so I'm looking forward to everyone getting to know her. She is person to her dogs, Lucy and Milo, and an animal communicator, Reiki practitioner, pet loss bereavement specialist, writer, artist, and more. And here she is.
Nice. And here she is, guys. So Lee was just reading off your intro, Olivia. Hi.
Hello. Hi. Nice to
Oh, go ahead.
have you with us. I was just going to say, that's it.
Yeah.
To be here.
So Olivia, Lee was just telling everybody that you are a animal communicator and Reiki guide, and you've got some tricks up your sleeve. So I'm curious, how you came to, I guess this point in your life where you're like, I am all these amazing things.
That's a good question. I'm not one of those people who's like, oh, I've been this my whole life, or I didn't see myself as an animal communicator or energy worker, psychic medium, or anything like that. For most of my life, I did have experiences that were very psychic, definitely experiences with the spirit world. And I did, when I was younger, talk to animals. But it was just I just thought it was like normal, and it was in a way that I think most kids do. And so I really grew up my whole adult life, kind of putting all of that aside. And it wasn't until I had a whole career in publishing and marketing, and it wasn't until I became really unhappy in that career, and I also adopted my first dog as an adult, at least my own, that I adopted. It wasn't until that I was even turned on to any of this, or realized that my sensitivity was more than just sensitivity. So I would say I started going to receive Reiki. I went to Reiki sessions for myself because I was really unhappy in my career, and I was doing talk therapy for my whole life. And I was like, I need something more. What is this Reiki thing? Somebody mentioned it to me. I started having Reiki sessions, and it really changed my life. I felt really way more connected with my intuition, with what I wanted. And that kind of led me to taking some other classes, psychic development. And I was sitting with my psychic development teacher one day after class, and I was like, oh, I got to get home. My dog's been pooping on the floor. And I was like, I don't know why he's doing this because I know he knows better and I don't get it. And she goes, why don't you just ask him? I was like, oh, that's the thing I can do. What? And she said, yeah, use your skills, your psychic skills that I taught you. And so I was so excited. I went home and I actually like started Googling some things and I just tried connecting. And it's funny because my dog Milo didn't really want to talk about why he was pooping on the floor right away, but he told me that everything he has to say is really important. Like I should really listen to him when he barks.
He was just mad because you were leaving him there.
Yeah, well, and then he was like, "Oh, it was a boundary issue. I really hadn't made it clear that it wasn't okay, and I also wasn't giving him the sort of schedule he needed or like that he could count on either."
Yeah.
So you figured it out. But yeah, I've actually realized that like for me, communicating with animals was like way easier than the human stuff. And it just came to me really naturally and I started like practicing and yeah, here we are.
So you brought up a really good point though, when it's easier to talk to animals than people. I really want to dig into that one because that is beautiful. Do you have any thoughts on that? Because I know like with humans, we've got these roaring, nasty, gnashing egos.
Mhm.
And like, animals are like, whatever, we don't have anything to prove,
Yeah, definitely. I think that is a lot of it. Animals are very I mean, I hate kind of like generalizing about all animals because I do look at them as individuals, but I would say that like more than human animals are different than us. We do carry a lot of baggage, ego,
conditioning, all the
conditioning, so much stuff, yeah, as humans that
Yeah.
it's almost like um a many layers to cut through. And with animals, or I should say more than human animals, because we're animals too. But with them, yeah, it just feels like pure communication, no BS.
Yeah.
Really just like tell it like it is, and it just feels so straightforward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely would agree with that too. Lee, do you have anything you would
Yeah,
want
well,
to-
I'm current on that too, because I think it's funny. Because for me, I think the human part, like the mediumship with human souls, is actually easier for me. And trying to communicate with animals, I think I've told Olivia this before, but
Mhm.
trying to communicate, like if they're departed, it's different. If they're alive, it's just like I don't know where that signal is. Like I can't.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
I think it's funny, but I will say too, I just want to give a shout out for a minute to Olivia because I sat down with you over the past few years. I think I found you in like 2020 and you are really beautifully gifted at what you do. Like the way that you bring through their personalities, whether they're departed or they're alive. Like I've had both the experience with you. And the way that you capture them and the messages in the moment and the evidential piece or what I would consider evidential. I don't know if you consider yourself evidential, or that's just a piece that kind of comes along with what you do. But that piece about you knowing things that, are just beyond like guessing and things like that, like was just was really significant for me. So I just wanted to give you that because you really do have such a profound connection, I think, to our animal companions and I love it. So I don't know.
Thank you.
Nice. He's gassing you up, lady.
Yeah. Thank you. Wow. I'm glad I
Yeah.
just do this podcast stuff. Thank you.
It's like, well, thank you. And please send me any business you want to. Yeah, which is exactly why we have you here. So like, hey, people, you guys are missing out on something. You got to check it out.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, whenever I have like a personal experience and, I know how the person works and you are so authentic in what you do. But I was curious to something that you said. You said you had experiences growing up that were what you would in retrospect maybe call psychic with animals. But I'm curious like what that might have looked like as more of a kid or however old you were at that point and like what it looks like now and maybe what your viewpoint of it was back then. Like, did you even understand that there was something happening or was it just kind of like, oh, that's weird. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I think it was just like a natural part of life. I grew up in like central New York, upstate New York, not the city. And I was outside a lot as a kid, and I played like in the woods, and I would come across like even wildlife, and like snakes were one of my favorites. I would just be like, oh, hello. I feel like the snakes just like told me I'm not poisonous and you can play with me with certain snakes. And like, it wasn't like, oh my gosh, what was that? That was weird. It was just like this natural knowing, I would say, that I had with many animals. And I wasn't like Snow White or anything like that. But it's just that I just thought it was a normal, natural thing. It's hard to explain. And then I had
It's
like
I kind of
some
get it though, because like when it's your everyday natural way of being, you don't know that it's not normal until you're around others that talk about their experiences and it being different. So when you're little, that's the only world you're weaving in, right? So like, how are you supposed to know it's not normal until like, you know what I mean?
yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's like one of those things where anytime we did have different animals and everything, pets growing up, and I always felt more comfortable with them than like my cousins or relatives or whatever. I'd be like, I feel, or like the horses. My cousins had horses, and I just craved like going to see them because I felt like they brought such like grounding and wisdom. And I felt like I had relationships with them. I went to like horse camp when I was little too, and I didn't want to be friends with like any of the girls. I just wanted to be friends with the horses because I felt really shy. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think there's a comfort, just a natural peace around um they're so close to the veil. I feel like their essence is a little more pure even. And so it's just organically soothing.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, and I feel like a lot of people feel that way about animals. And I honestly think that everybody has the ability to communicate with animals. It's part of us, part of who we are. But it's just like, like how Lee said, I find it easier to connect with ex-humans who have crossed over. Ex-humans is my word, but people who have crossed over more than like living animals and stuff. I do think like each person does have their own strengths, just like
Yeah.
person might be better at like playing piano, and one person's like really good at football. It's
Yeah.
that sort of thing.
Which is also a really good reason why you were so drawn right away as a child. Also, with that in mind, was there like a defining moment? Because I know you spoke of earlier, like, I felt like it was kind of just normal and natural until it didn't feel normal and natural. And you were like, oh, maybe there's something more to that. But what was that defining moment that made you shift?
I don't think it was really a defining moment. Oh, you mean like what made me shift?
Yeah, like was there an experience that was like kind of really just like profound and you were like, oh, okay, this is a little bit more than normal, right? Like this is a gift. This is a thing. Like what was it that made you finally have that realization?
Well, I don't even know if I had that because it became more like I stopped using it,
Okay.
and it's more because I guess it would be subtle messages from family and friends that like, what? You're crazy. I don't think they ever said you're crazy, but this isn't normal. Like I was told that it wasn't normal more, and I was just like, oh, I'm weird. I also had dreams that came true. I had all sorts of I would in the middle of the night I would definitely see spirits.
Mhm.
And I was told like you're just imagining things, you're just too sensitive, it was that sort of thing over and
Yeah.
over. I
Oh
never had
yeah.
one defining moment, but then
Yeah.
in college, I did have some pretty intense experiences more with humans than animals, in spirit. Um, and I definitely, when I was young, we had we had some pretty tragic like animal passings, and one of my dogs, after he died, I do really feel that I felt his spirit, but I didn't tell anyone.
Yeah.
And at that moment I knew I not to tell anyone.
Yes.
Oh, that might be a defining moment.
Yeah, because like I mean, you're kind of speaking our language. Like I grew up very conditioned and programmed that way too. Like I thought it was normal to see spirits and talk to angels and do these things, right?
Yeah.
And then when I got about 4 or 5 is when I started realizing, oh, nobody else is seeing these guys and nobody else is talking to these guys. And oh, and now I've got imaginary friends and I'm a problem child and I'm all the things. And I'm like, okay. So like I get that. Like I 100% go, yep, that sounds like my childhood. Like I totally get it.
Yeah, and just being told you're sensitive or you're like
Yeah.
imagining things or you're making up things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
then as I got older, like I just kind of shut it down too. I think as I started to age between 8 and 10, I shut it down, like really was shutting it down. And then by the time I was a teenager, I was like really even further, just like, I want nothing to do with this. And I didn't come out as a psychic publicly until I was 38 years old. I
Wow.
tried like hell to shut it down. Like, I was not going to give up, but then I gave up. I finally was like, okay, fine.
Yeah, it sounds very similar to me. And I had
Yeah.
like all these little things and all these little breadcrumbs. I'd say like really shut it down after college because some
Yeah.
things happened that like upset me. Um and then I just it just, things start to happen that that you just can't ignore it anymore.
Well, and I think there's something to be said about that part too, because it's like the universe has to shake you into your purpose. Like, quit fucking shutting this down. Quit trying to give it back. You have it for a reason. Get the fuck out there with it. Like do your thing, do your job. And so, yeah.
Yeah, and like even for me, another big defining moment that I really actually haven't talked about much is a dear friend of mine died, and well, in mediumship sessions with Lee, she has come through quite a lot. My friend,
Okay.
she comes through every time.
She's a big presence. I'll just say that. Yeah.
And was she, if you don't mind me asking, is she helping you like embrace your abilities along the way? Is she kind of like helping you get there?
Yes, so
Okay,
like
cool.
after her death, yeah, and that's why I bring her up. Like she died, and then I had some experiences where I just could not deny
Right.
that I was connecting with her in spirit.
Yeah.
And yeah, that really set a lot of other things off for me.
Yeah.
And she to this day like helps me quite a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. That's pretty, I love that. That's really cool.
I love that too. And especially having had some experiences with her coming through and kind of getting a feel of who she was. And every time you talk about her, I feel like it's one of those, she pops in and she's, not necessarily to say anything, but she's present sort of thing, which I find so funny. I was curious though to what you were saying, like both you and April would talk, and I have similar experiences, maybe not in the same way, but about, being told that you were too sensitive and things like that. So it's almost like sensitivity becomes like a negative in a way, as we're kind of evolving, and it's like, well, I need to shut this down. I can't be so sensitive. I'd be curious though, like what your relationship to your sensitivity is now, as opposed to like what it was then. Cause I know for me, I always looked at it as kind of like a negative, and now I have a completely different sort of way that I define my sensitivity and my relationship to it. So
That's such a good question. I love that one.
thanks. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I do see it as a gift now, for
Yeah.
sure. And it's why I am good at what I do. It's why I'm able to do what I do. And I like you, Lee, I think I work with a lot of highly sensitive people and highly sensitive animals, and I see a connection between their sensitivities and kind of mirroring sometimes between different things they're going through. But yeah, I see it as a gift. And when I speak with people and their animals who are also sensitive and kind of might be seeing it in a negative way, the animals also always help us kind of frame it as a gift.
I love that. I didn't know if I even thought of that or knew that, but I love that they're always trying to help us kind of connect that it is a gift. Yeah.
Yeah.
I might have a thought on that because I remember when, um, so I had this miniature dachshund that she was like my first pet to myself, like not a family pet, but my dog, right? My responsibility. And I got her when I was 17. She was gifted to me by, she had been rehomed. So long story short, she'd been rehomed and I took her on when she was like 3. Her name was Yaji, and she was like the love of my life before I ever had children. She was my child, right?
Mhm.
And when I started having kids, I had my 2 oldest were pretty little when when she died, and it broke me, like absolutely broke me, like it tears you apart. But in that time, I was a very young mom, and I was still so so much in denial and repressing of my abilities, even though I had spirits dancing around my bed all night long and all the things. And I'm like, no, 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 everybody does this, right? Like, whatever. Super bad denial. So, but what was fascinating was Yaji knew I was gifted way more than I did. And because she knew it, the night she died, I was torn apart, going to bed, sobbing my eyes out, all the things. And I woke up because she came into the room through the front door, pounced down the little stairs, and she was running towards me to jump into the bed with me. And I was like, yeah, and I like basically threw myself out of the bed trying to get to her. And then I'm on the floor just crying, like holding nothing. Like it
Oh,
was a whole thing. But like it was like, I feel like that was her reminding me, hey, don't you think it's crazy that you can see me and no one, like, we need those reminders because we weren't stepping into our powers at all. I wasn't, for sure. And so those were those moments where I'm like, oh yeah, here's where she came through to not just remind me she was okay, but also there's a reason why I could see her and nobody else could.
yeah. That's really beautiful. That's amazing.
Yeah, she was a cutie.
Oh, and I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. It's never easy to lose them, and I'm sorry for that.
Yeah.
I was I was curious, Olivia, if I know it's different for everybody and like every animal companion, I call them animal companions, or they have different things to say and different messages that come through. But I'm kind of curious if you have seen any general kind of thread of, something that comes through a lot from animals about like what they want us to know or, um, anything like that, or maybe nothing at all. Maybe it's just different every time. But I'm curious if there's like a commonality that you can maybe think of that, they would like us to know that we just maybe don't pick up on, or most people don't pick up on.
Yeah, I think that's a good question too. Like if there's like a common way they show up or
Yeah, so I'd say there's a lot of those things. Every conversation is different, but I definitely see like threads, commonalities, as you say. And sometimes it's interesting, they'll come in waves as well. And I'd say one that's coming up a lot lately is I've been working with a lot of people who have lost their animal companions who were like their soulmate, who were with them for so long. And um they always remind the people, like, yes, the physical, of course you're going to grieve my physical presence, and of course that is really hard and I honor that, but like the connection and the love that we had is still there. And I'm gonna do some pretty cool things to show up and like to show up for you and give you signs. And please look for the signs. And sometimes they'll say specifically what they are, what they could be. And lately they've been pretty like big ones, like blinking, flashing lights for some people. It just like big ones, and they happen. They say, I'm gonna come through in this way, look for it. And it's like in ways that we think are like maybe nearly impossible. And they have been letting me know that they can like manipulate kind of like electricity sometimes. They can it's not that they become other animals or anything like that, but they can help to influence like winged creatures, butterflies, things like that.
Yeah.
So that's one thing with the animals in spirit. Does that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. And I think so much what you just said too. I find the same thing in mediumship with,
Yeah.
souls that were human in their incarnation. Like, I find that it does come in waves, like you say. Some of like the commonalities seem to come in waves. Like, I'll sit down with people and it's like very similar kind of thing. And then also what you were saying that, it's not that they become the deer that, walks across your backyard when you're thinking about your father or anything, but they have a way of influencing like the deer or the butterfly or whatever it is. And also the electricity thing that comes through quite often actually with the electricity. So that's so funny that
It
animals.
really
It's very similar.
does. Yeah, that does. I would say the electricity is a big one around me too. And I think it makes sense because they're not bound by the 3D reality that we are. So they can influence anything they want. They have pure freedom.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, and I know, yeah, it's for like pretty much any being in the spirit world, right? Yeah. It's cool. And then like living animals bring up other threads, other things. But one big theme I think through all of my sessions with living animals is how connected we are to our animal companions and how when there is something going on with them, yes, there can be something, they could have an illness or something, but sometimes it is connected with something that's going on with you. So part of,
Like
I
another
think,
mirror.
yeah, like a mirror in a way, or like, an animal, like a cat might be pooping outside of a litter box and, it's a weird thing. It's not because the human is pooping outside the litter box. And sorry, there's so much
Right.
in this conversation, but quite a lot in my sessions. But yeah, it's like not that they're hearing like you're pooping or whatever, but
Right. But the behavior. Yeah.
anxious. Yeah, it's an expression of anxiety, and like they're like, oh yeah, I'm feeling like there's so much noise outside the windows lately and it's really stressing me out and I can't really like, like hear myself. I just feel so stressed by it. I don't know what to do. And then turns out like the human is like, my life is so stressful. There's too much going on. I'm not taking quiet time. And the like solution may be like you just chill together a little bit, check in with yourself, ask yourself what you need, because when that like you're actually like energy modeling for your animals a lot of times. So many times what you do to help yourself will also help them, especially when it comes to like anxiety and things like that. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I love that. And I think that makes sense. I think I've seen it happen in real time too. So the fact that I think people do that for each other as well, especially if you're like living with somebody else, like we become mirrors and your energy just naturally kind of interconnects even more closely. But I think we do that for each other too. So it totally makes sense that our animal companions do the same thing.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. Humans do it too, for sure.
yeah. Um, I think I asked you this once before personally. I can't remember now, but I totally want to go there again just really quickly because I'm fascinated by this idea. But do you feel that sometimes our animal companions like choose us or it's sort of like a divine sort of setup that we end up with this specific cat or this specific dog or because I know with my cat now, and I think I have said this to you as well, but I feel like it was just always meant to be that I just came across her and we were, so I'm curious if that comes up for you a lot or what your thoughts about that are.
Yeah, I do see it quite a lot. And it's so funny because I'm like such a reluctant spiritual person. So like some people and like always been a skeptic. And I know there's like this idea of like soul contracts, which actually sounds so corporate to me. I'm like, contract, right? But the idea that our souls are familiar with each other outside of this embodied life, and that we actually plan to be with each other in this life, it actually does come up quite often. And I do see that in many ways. And I do have many animals say, like, I picked you in this way, and this is kind of how it happened. Sometimes I don't think it's always that way. It's like some things fall into place in a certain way, and sometimes the person feels like a pull toward them. So there's many ways it can happen, but it is a big theme. Yes, I see it quite often. And it's especially with those animals that you feel like this really special connection where you're like, do we know each other? Or like you just feel that soul bond. I don't know if every person feels that with every animal, but it's especially for those. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and I get really intrigued by that because I've had, animals throughout my life, animals growing up and all that, and I've loved them each one. And there's always, I think, been like a special, unique kind of bond. Maybe like children for some people. I don't have children, but like, you have a unique bond with each of your children in a different way and you love them. But I'll always say that when it comes to my cat Bernadette, who you've communicated with before, but I I always just feel there's something different there. Like it just feels different in terms of like I don't want to say a stronger bond. It's just more like you were saying, like more familiar with her, or like just like everything set up in the way that it was supposed to, and how she interacted when she first met me, and it was like she knew that she was trying to come inside, like the first time she ever met me, and I'm like, who do you belong to? Like whose cat is this? And it's like she knew, and I took time to catch up, but I find it intriguing because I feel like I've only really had that with her, even though I've loved the other animal. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally makes sense. Yeah, I feel like that's also what I was trying to get at. Like, it's not like necessarily with every animal and every person, you know?
Right. Right.
It's just like people in our lives too. It's like as
Yeah.
souls, like I can't pretend to know everything or know how it all works, but the animals have told me a lot about this of like they'll show me images of like a lot of times it's like glowing balls like them and their people and kind of like show me kind of like these visuals of them like of you and like almost like being together intertwining like the going to earth. Yeah, it's pretty cool, and it took me a while to even like understand what they were showing me, but
Yeah, that makes
I can
sense.
appreciate it.
Yeah, I can too, because like I know I'm always learning my reference system and it changes. It even changes still. Like I'll get some massive, upgrade and then I have to relearn my fucking reference system again. Like I'm like, oh great. We just gotta, we just gotta, we gotta level up, right? And so then when we do, we're like, now we have to learn it all again because it changes.
oh yeah, it's definitely yeah, I really try not to stick too much to like too many symbols or even like too many references. I because they can even change kind of
Totally.
from conversation to conversation.
And based on who you're sitting with, and yeah, like all
Yeah.
there's so many, yeah. So yeah. You know what? I have a question for you. What is something that you wish people understood a little bit more about grieving during pet loss?
Oh, about grieving. So when you say people, is it like the people who are going through the grief or other people who are like supporting the
You know
grief?
what? You could do both.
Okay.
Yeah, let's hear your spin on both.
Yeah. So I guess for grievers or people who are experiencing the loss, oh gosh, I just want to tell everyone that it is not weird to like feel even sadder sometimes than you do about your animals. Like sometimes people will say, I feel even worse, like my grandma died and I didn't feel this bad. And that is so normal because of the type of bond you have is it's different and really deep. And so first of all, you're not weird or wrong for feeling that, I would say. And then the other thing is like I feel like sometimes people worry like maybe other animal communicators or other people have said to them that like your animal would want you to be happy. Don't cry. No, 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 no.
God, that's the worst.
Your tears, your grief, your emotion honors them. It is a representation of your bond and your love. But also it goes in waves, and it's different for everybody, and like there's no one right way to grieve. I guess this is general grief information for anybody, but it's the same for animal companions. And that I would also say for people who are grieving their animals, like it's really understandable if you don't want to talk to everybody about it, because not everybody understands and not
Right.
everybody's cool. So find your like couple of people, or someone like me who gets it, or another, like a grief counselor or someone, or just like those friends who get it, because like not everybody's gonna, and it's okay to keep it like not to go through it alone. You don't have to go through it alone, but to be really discerning about who you talk to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. And it reminds me of a story because when I lost Yaji and she had died, she actually died a little bit unexpectedly from a heart attack when I had taken her into the vet. She was having seizures and she'd been doing seizures for a while, but I wasn't expecting her to die that day. Right. So I take her into the vet to have her checked up. She had a heart attack and died on the spot. And I had 2 little kids. I was working nights, all the things. And so I remember I had to call into work because I was a wreck. I was like, there was no way I was going to be able to function at any capacity to do my job. And I remember my manager making fun of me because I called in for a dog. And I was like, well, you can make fun all day long. It doesn't change that I'm taking this time to observe and honor her passing. Like, I don't give a fuck. But this was in like 2003 when, there wasn't, when our healing arts wasn't so a little more welcomed. So.
Yeah, that makes sense. And sadly, I hear a lot of stories like that. And I do think it is changing, which is a good thing.
Mhm.
But yeah, I'm sorry you went through that. That's
Yeah, but like that's why I emphasize the importance of your message, because it doesn't look the same for everyone. And there's a lot of really bad information out there, that shames people in grief and keeps them repressed and stuck in it longer just because they're so afraid of their process.
Yeah, totally. And everybody's different. Some people say like, oh my gosh, I do not want to get rid of my dog's bed. I want it here. It's just I can't. And is that okay? Yes, the answer is yes, that's okay. Another person is saying, I had to get rid of it. I can't look at it. That's okay too. Everybody's different, and the animals are so supportive in spirit of like what you need to.
Yeah.
To
Like
get.
they're not going over there, don't throw away my toys. No, not those. Like they don't
No.
give a fuck. They're not stuck in these bodies anymore. They are so free and they want us to be happy. That's all they care
Yeah.
about.
Yeah, and they just want us to like go through it. They're not even like it's okay if you're sad too. Like
Yeah, exactly.
it's and like, sometimes they will say cool things like, oh my gosh, I saw that you're getting a tattoo of me. That's cool. Or like, they have my water bowl and you're filling it every day. That's so cool. But it's not like they're judging it, or if you don't do that, they're going to be mad. There's none of that stuff. Like it's
Yeah.
all like really supportive. And yeah, they were like, I'm free and like out of my body, and you're in your body. You need
Right.
to do what you need to do to take care of yourself.
They're like having fun while we're still suffering. So there's
I
that.
know. I do think about that sometimes, and I'm like, oh man, yeah,
I'm like, don't rub it in, fuckers. I'm jealous enough.
yeah. But yeah, and then like the advice for other people who are friends, or like other people who are like outside of like trying to be there for the griever, like I'd say it's just very similar advice, or like listen to what we just talked about, but like don't belittle, just even if you can't really relate to their experience, you could still be there for them. You could still say, I'm sorry. And sometimes you have to all you have to do is say, I'm sorry, and acknowledge them, acknowledge the animal, and acknowledge that it's hard. That's really all I have to say. I could go on and on, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. So, Lee, do you have anything you want to add to that? Because I have another question for her, but if you want to add to that first.
No, just that I think I agree with all that. I feel that I get the same messages from souls that were human in life, so it makes total sense to me that the spirit world just wants us to be okay, and whatever we decide to do with the materialistic things or otherwise, like they're all good with. So I second everything that you just said. Yeah.
Cool.
Cool.
Once in
Thank
a
you.
while, you'll have like a person like sorry, I'm just going in there. Like my friend did a mediumship reading where someone was like, you changed my macaroni and cheese recipe. But like, that was just like, the person really doesn't care, but also they're still being them,
Fair enough. Right. Because how else would we know
Yeah.
that it's, where's that evidence if we didn't have that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's rare that they really, really actually care. Yeah.
Yeah. I've experienced that where when they'll come through and just to validate their personality,
Yeah.
who they were in this physical incarnation that we knew them as, they'll say something or do something like that. But, they'll remind me like, I don't really care. I'm just bringing it up because I want them to understand it's me and that I'm seeing what's going on and all the things. So that's funny though about the mac and cheese. Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I would 100% agree with that one.
Yeah.
So, Olivia, I have a question. I want to know what your thoughts are on pet hypnotism.
Oh, that is so interesting. You asked me that.
Yeah,
So
I have a direction, but I want to hear like how are your experiences around that? Have you had like I want to hear what your thoughts are on this topic.
wow. So when you say pet hypnotism, do you mean like hypnosis for animals or
I'm not talking about like Reiki necessarily, however they might overlap actually, but like what are your thoughts on pet hypnotism if someone's like, I want to have my pet hypnotized and I want to see maybe where some other energies are coming up for that, whatever that is, right? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, so my thoughts are, first of all, I haven't quite heard of people directly doing hypnosis to animals. The only thing I've actually come across is like the proxy hypnosis. So you kind of get hypnotized as a proxy for your animals.
Oh, that might, hold on, that might make sense. I have a story I'm gonna share with you in a second, but I want to hear your thoughts first. So.
Okay. And I have seen that, and I could understand how that might do something. I've also had a dear friend who is a hypnotist, and she is awesome. She had hopefully she's okay with me telling this, but I won't give like any identifying details, but she had like an issue going on with her dog that she felt was kind of related to her. She was trying everything with the vets and everything. And she ended up kind of like throwing up her hands and doing a hypnosis session with a friend, or doing a series of them like around this issue. And it actually helped the issue. But I honestly think it makes way more sense for like people than it does for animals.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's where I am. I don't know, like I can't pretend to know a lot about it. That's just my opinion.
Okay.
And I have like thoughts because I actually recently talked to a woman who does like hypnosis like around situations with your animals, and she really actually turned me off to it.
Oh, okay. So you kind of have like a little bit of a negative interaction there.
Yeah,
Okay.
but I'm really open to it, and I'm actually in talks with my friends about actually incorporating a little hypnosis into one of my programs.
You totally should.
Yeah, for the people more than the animal.
I think you could even do it with the animal. But I'm gonna tell you, like, I'm gonna share my story with you. I have two situations. where I hypnotized an animal purely by accident. Like it was 100% like, what the fuck is going on right now? And so I actually am a hypnotist, but I wasn't at the time.
Okay.
So, um, and even when I say I practice hypnotism, it's more like guided imagery. I'm not diving into full hypnotism, right?
Okay.
But as like I was, a little context, I was gifted from a very young age, which we've already kind of gone over that. But my first experience that I can recollect where I knew definitively this animal was just hypnotized was with the same dog we were talking about, Yaji. This would have been in like 1997. And so I'm in Texas. It's summer, it's sticker season, and she's got long hair. So she's outside, and every day I would have to like sit her on the floor in the kitchen, get out these big ass clunky kitchen rusty gross scissors, right? But it didn't matter because I'm like just kind of like trimming her hair where the knots were, and I would groom her like and get all the freaking stuff out of her, right? So I'm sitting on the floor and we're full on in this, like, I'm going to call it a Reiki moment. And I was practicing Reiki intuitively before I ever got certified. So I didn't know it was a thing until it's a thing,
Right.
So I'm in this full on moment where it's just like me and her are the only two things in the whole world that even exist. Super nurturing, super loving, having this moment of pet animal, connection, love, all the things, right? So I'm grooming her and I'm like, oh, here's a knot on her ear. Let me just trim this off. And next thing I know, there's blood everywhere. And I'm like, she hasn't budged. She hasn't flinched. She hasn't nothing. And I'm like, where's this blood coming from? And I look over and I had cut her ear off. And neither one of us knew it. And I was like, oh my God. So I'm panicking. She had no idea what was happening. She didn't even know I did it. And I was like, oh my God. Oh my God. And so I felt like the worst person ever. But then I'm like sitting there, I go into nurse mode and I'm putting tea bags on her ears, trying to clot the blood and get it to stop bleeding. And then I doctor her up and all the things. But it took me a minute and I was sitting there and I was like, she didn't yelp. She didn't flinch. She didn't jerk away. There was nothing, like she had no idea. And these weren't like sharp scissors where, like this was old rusty kitchen, like, and I was like, oh my God, my dog was hypnotized. How the fuck did that happen? And so it took me a minute to figure it out. And then I was like, okay, there's no, like, I still was in denial for years about it, right? Until I had a second situation.
Okay.
And I had a second situation in 2016. It was the summer. And I had rehomed, I had kind of adopted a ball python. I'm not really a big snake person, but this is the second python I ended up raising, like hand raising, because otherwise it was going to die. Basically, that's what it came down to. And I had this little ball python and she was going through her shedding phase. So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to take her over to the sink and I'm going to rub off, like, help her work off some of this, the skin. So I'm like, the one thing I had noticed about her was she loved when I worked with her. So I'm like full on giving her like these body massages, like working on the face, like working off this shedding skin and all this stuff. Next thing I know, her eyes are like rolled back in her head and she's pooping and peeing all over me, like just lost all body function. And I was like, and then I just like, I kind of stopped petting her to see what would happen. And she just stayed there, like moving, like it was the weirdest thing I've ever seen. She's like, was still kind of like moving. Maybe a python breeder will help us understand this, but she was kind of like slowly still moving her body as though I was working her, but I wasn't really anymore. And her eyes were still rolled back in her head. I was like, oh my God, she's hypnotized. And so it was like, that was the second time I was like, this is a real thing.
Whoa.
Yeah. So that's kind of why I was like, I'm just curious what your thoughts are on pet hypnotism, just because it wasn't at will for me. Like, it wasn't like, oh, I'm going to go do this thing, but 100% it accidentally happened a couple times.
Wow. That's so cool and interesting. And Yeah, I think also what comes up for me around like hypnosis with animals is just like with communication and Reiki as well is consent.
Yeah.
There's one thing if you don't know it, you don't mean it. Like some things happen and you're like, what is happening? And you're like,
Yeah.
way, right? But then I wonder, I would like want to make sure that the animal gave consent, which you can, you know,
Which I already had because like they came to me because of their need for me. So that to me, that was a consent.
yeah, and it's not you, like, I'm not
Yeah.
saying your situations are also very, like, what's surprising
Well,
is
that's true. That's true.
yeah,
Yeah.
but
Absolutely.
I'm just saying, like, if, you know, if we were to do it intentionally, like,
Mm-hmm.
that would be really important. But I also feel, um, I just don't know enough about it. Like, it's really cool. That's
Yeah.
cool.
I was just curious if you had any like experiences, anything like that. But I think you've done a lot of Reiki stuff. So
Oh yeah, and there's definitely times where we're like in like even with my own animal companions, like in zones and like I'm like, what just happened? Where yeah, it's like sometimes I think even like accidental Reiki happens too, and I'm like,
oh,
"Whoa."
totally. Yeah.
Yeah, and or just like I'm doing my own like meditation or something, and it's like all of a sudden they're in there. They're with me. They're like, you know, things like that. But no, I don't have a whole lot of experience. And this is actually something I'm looking into right now. So it's so cool that you bring it up. And it's definitely like I've been
Here's
in
your confirmation.
I think so. The universe is telling me, and really the the places where I feel like it could be most useful is when there are like patterns and that you have between you and your animal companion that just like with people like kind of are healthy and they're kind of like um these cycles that you find it very hard to break. There's not something that's necessarily like uh purely like physical, like veterinary going on. A lot of times sometimes there is a little bit of that, but there's also like behavior involved in the whole. It's, I see it as like a way to almost like break cycles. And like, for instance, one thing I'm going to experiment with my friend is me and my dog Milo. He likes to really bark a lot at me while I'm making his food. And I've tried everything, but it gets to the point where he's going to hurt himself because he's like what I call barcoring off my legs and off
Oh
the,
my gosh.
off
Yeah.
of the, like everything. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you're going to get hurt. I think he did like tear his nail one day. And I'm just like, oh, and I get all worked up about it and I'm like, oh boy, I need help like breaking this whatever this cycle we're in. And so I'm going to try hypnosis with my friend and I can let you know how it works.
I so want to hear how it works.
Yeah.
I definitely need some feedback on that.
Yeah. Because that's what I would like to bring into my More Than Pets program, which is a program where we work on like our relationship with our animal companions. And there's like all different elements to it, like communication, energy work, just mindfulness of the energy that we share as well. And that's part of it. It's like, okay, are there issues that like we need to like break some cycles here? So yeah, I'm really excited.
Yeah.
That's so neat. I love
Yeah.
that.
I definitely want to hear how that goes.
Mm-hmm.
Um, just as a side note too, for anyone watching, April told me the story about her dog first, and that's why my face was like not reactive. But and the dog was okay though, April, you said, right?
Oh yeah. No, she was
Yeah.
fine. And also for the record, I was a vet tech at the time. So I already knew how to, get into gear and nurture her and have her checked out. She was fine. It was, yeah, terrible vet tech. Then I cut her fucking ear off, but hey, whatever. So
She was good.
it was purely an accident. Like she had very black hair and very thick, and it was really hard to tell. And yeah, I probably could have handled it better. But the fact is, it got handled how it was handled, and she didn't have any pain. Only I did. I was the only one feeling pain.
Wow.
Yeah. So
So did you like did she have to get her ears sewed back on, or like what?
No, she didn't. But it did cut off a pretty good like slice of the bottom of her ear. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm glad she had all turned out okay then, and she
She had, but you know what it reminded me of? I'll tell you what it reminded me of. Have you heard of people going into surgery under hypnosis?
yeah,
Yeah. So that's kind of what I think happened. I think she truly was in a trance. I knew without a doubt that that's what had taken over. And
Mhm.
she was in a trance and she really did not feel a single fucking thing. She had no clue. And the only reason why there was any panic around the situation was because I was like, oh my God, I killed her. That's like
Yeah.
it was me like
Mhm.
panicking, but like I was like, oh my God, I murdered my dog. Like she had no idea. She was fully in that trance. And so yeah, and that could have been, and I could have been too, which is why I probably cut her and not knew it, like I didn't even know that I did it. So yeah, it was a whole thing for sure. But that's what it reminded me of was like when people are like really brave and they're going to go do surgery or some procedure with just hypnosis. So
Ooh,
Yeah.
wow.
That's,
yeah.
that's, yeah. But definitely, I'm curious too, Olivia, if you start implementing the hypnotism and all that, and or if you work with it anyway, I'm totally interested to see how that turns out. So you'll have to
Yeah.
share.
Oh yeah, I'll keep you both posted.
Yeah.
Also, Olivia, where can our Lee, do you have any other questions?
Um, I don't think so. I just but just thank
Okay.
you for being here, and
Yeah.
I think you're great. So
He does talk really good about you.
I
Oh,
do. She's just so gifted. Like you really. So you're great.
So the best place, I'm going to put this in the show notes anyway, but if you want to tell our audience like the best place to reach you or the fastest place to reach you so they can work with you.
yeah, going through my website pretty much for everything.
Okay.
It's my first name, last name.com, Olivia LaBarre, and they'll see it in the show notes.
Okay.
It's OLIVIA LABARRE.com. It's kind of a mouthful, but there also they can sign up for my newsletter. I send a monthly newsletter with a whole bunch of like tips and helpful things for animal communication, also like people who are going through grief and end of life circumstances, a bunch of resources, and I also share my art that I create from what animals tell me.
Oh my God, fun.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
Oh,
It's
is it, so if I go subscribe to your newsletter, will I get to see the art then?
I can just yeah, well, you'll see it when I like the future ones. I am going to put it on my website as well, but you'll be the first to see it. I can also forward you some.
Also, oh yeah. And also, do you have Facebook? Like, can I connect to you on Facebook?
Yeah, you can connect to me on Facebook or
Okay.
Instagram. I'm just not super active on social media.
Okay.
So I'm there, but that's why I don't really point people there because I'm
Yeah.
not like super active.
I wasn't talking about them. I'm talking about me.
You can
I was
connect-
being selfish on that one.
yeah, you can connect with me on Facebook.
Okay, cool. So okay, then we will have that in the show notes for sure. And then Olivia, thank you so much for coming on here and sharing with us all your little magic tricks. You've got some cool stuff going on, and I think you've been pretty insightful.
Oh, well, thank you for having me. It's been fun.
Thank
Yay.
you. Okay, well, if you guys are good, I think we can stop here.
Mhm.
Yeah, ready? Okay, bye.
Huh?
Thank you for joining Own Your Essence. I am beyond grateful to our guests for sharing their wisdom and to you, our listeners, for being part of this journey toward healing and empowerment. If today's conversation resonated with you, please feel free to subscribe, leave a review, and share this space with others who might need it. If you have questions, topic ideas, want to be a guest, or would like to work with me privately, send an email. I'd love to hear from you.